Say you will, say you won't, say you'll do what I don't, say you're true, say to me, what do you like?
Killian Dain.
Fight like me da.
You look like me da as well.
And we are live!
Way.
Thank you very much for the good intro there, Randy. This is the WrestleRamble. I am Luke Owen. This is El Fakador Laurie Blake. That over there is Randy Andy Datson, who'll be monitoring your super chats. This is the post NXT WrestleRamble, which is, of course, sponsored by our very own WrestleTalk Almanac Volume 2, where you can get stats about NXT, stats about NXT call-ups, stats about all sorts of things. Randy, how many stats are there in the book combined?
Over 10.
Over 10?
Yeah.
Between 10 and 10,000.
Yeah. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Thousands, if you will.
We're just not very good at counting.
Yes.
Which is no slight on the
We stopped at 10.
Yes. And tell you who else is bad at counting. The referee in this match between Matt Riddle and Arturo. I'm going to get this wrong now.
Arturo Ruas.
But it's not Ruas, though, is it? It's like
Ruas.
Hua, like your Al Pacino. Yes.
Like it was war.
So, yes, the show kicked off with Matt Riddle versus Arturo Ruas. Oh, man. You can just tell that we're just like British and white because this is a name that I'm... What was he before?
Adrian Gerald.
Adrian Gerald. I could do that one. Yeah. This is going to take me a little while to do. So apologies if we sound like morons while trying to say this man's name. But Arturo Ruas, or Ruas, my favorite thing about this match, though, was like as much as I really enjoyed the match, when Matt Riddle was making his entrance, he was bro-fisting everyone. And he went up to a guy who was not playing ball.
Yeah.
And he sat there with his arms folded, sat back in his chair. He's like, I'm not fist bumping you, you dick. And so Matt Riddle just went... boop. Just fist bumped him in the chest instead. It's amazing.
I love Matt Riddle.
Didn't faze him in the slightest. But this was a new look and identity for Ruas, whatever, Hua. And he was given the name by an MMA legend of the same name, by all accounts. The Street Fighter, yeah. It was
Street Fighter Ruas.
Yes, given to by Ryu and Ken. And actually, Morrow was saying...
rang up Sagat. Dear Sagat.
Dear Sagat, can I use
I don't know why I'm saying dear on the phone, but I am.
That's how I always conduct my phone calls, as if they're letters.
Yeah.
They're audio letters, I like to call them. And yeah, Morrow was really putting this over this is not going to be a pro wrestling match. This is going to be like an MMA fight.
Yeah. And
it really was. It was really cool.
I thought the presentation of this was fantastic. I love the idea because it's definitely something he said before, Ronaldo as well, about like Shayna Baszler matches, for instance, and stuff like that. He's like, he's obviously alluded to his own MMA background of calling those sorts of fights as well. But to see it actually play out like an actual, there was no wrestling moves in this. There was only mat wrestling, not
MMA wrestling.
There was no suplexes. There was not a single thing in this that was like, this is a normal WWE match. There was barely any need for pinning or anything like that.
No, it was all about takedowns and getting the submissions. Yeah. There was a worked MMA match, and I really enjoyed it. Because it was so different from everything else on this show, and it was so different from anything else that WWE put on. So it was actually it's kind of wicked to see. Really, I really enjoyed the presentation of it,
and I did it well as well. I think what was so good about it was because obviously a lot of MMA is swinging and missing. There was a bunch of swings and misses.
Oh,
and
yeah.
But then there was a genuine moment where Matt Riddle goes for this kick and just kicks him on the side, puts it on the side of his face, but softly enough that it's obviously not hurt him massively. But to see actual connection and be okay.
Worked MMA fights are very difficult to do, but if you are going to do one successfully, you're most likely going to get it done with Matt Riddle, because he is someone who's very much bridged that gap between the two sports and has done it very well. And I'm not the biggest MMA fan in the world. I can count on one hand the amount of fights I've seen, and majority of the fights I've seen are the ones that are over very, very quickly, because they're the ones that are like, oh, you got to check this out. Yeah, like when they had the guy just ran in and kneed that dude in the face a couple of weekends ago.
Amazing.
Or CM Punk just
getting mullered,
getting absolutely mullered, getting Muller cornered, and Ruas got in this really sort of tough submission. But then I love that Riddle hyperextended his arm to get out of it and get an armbar of his own, and it was really cool transition stuff.
Do you mind, Randy?
Stop breaking stuff, mate. Russ has got some really good kicks on him as well because he's like a capoeira artist and things like that, like a fighter. And it was just like he has got some cool maneuvers. I just think he's got a really awesome presentation.
Well, I think considering that this match wasn't really there was nothing about this match needed to happen. You know what I mean? This match wasn't furthering a story. It wasn't really doing much. But I love the fact that they just went, oh well, let's put these two people in the ring and have them just do something weird.
Yeah.
And something unusual for NXT. So it wasn't just like, this could have just been a Riddle squash match.
Yeah, totally.
For the purposes of having the segment that came afterwards.
Yeah.
But they went, oh no, actually, let's just be clever about this and do something completely different. Just like test the waters for maybe a future match with Matt Riddle where you get him in the ring with someone else, like when he eventually has his match with Brock Lesnar.
And oh man, I can't wait for that. And then like further down the line to that, the next time the Ruas comes out in front of that NXT audience, because it's the same people that are there all the time, they'll have remembered this match. And like the NXT audience watching at home will have remembered this match and be like, oh, that was the guy that had that really good match with Matt Riddle. And so even in defeat, it does put him over to a degree more than if Riddle had just gone in there and squashed Tesco's finest.
But it's absolutely something also that they can, this is something they could deploy again with Kushida.
Yeah.
Like, it's you could have a Matt Riddle Kushida match that is an MMA match. Because as they said later in the show during Kushida's match, he was undefeated in MMA.
In MMA, exactly,
so, There's a lot to come out of this from what was a bit of setup for a later bit of story.
That's right, yeah. Because Riddle, like, he fired up and hit the final flash, his big knee strike, and then he starts like firing down fists. But the key to it was the flash, the knee strike, essentially knocked Ruas out. And then they called it a TKO. Yeah. So we just started raining down these fists, and the referee was like, "I've seen enough of this. You're the winner."
Which is the MMA finish.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's so different to like as a wrestling fan, a pro wrestling fan. It's a completely different mindset to get your head into because when I was like, "Oh man, she's DQ'd him for not letting go."
Yeah.
But actually, no, it was he won via TKO. He won for kicking too much ass.
Do you think this is could be like a minor an NXT style response to AEW as well? Because the idea that there's a more sports presentation in AEW, this was very much like the sports presentation of this match. The only thing that was WWE was when he flips his flip-flops off. You know what I mean? That was the only really WWE thing about it. The rest of the thing was very sporting.
Yeah, totally. And that's an interesting idea as well because it's been reported at the moment that WWE are negotiating with Fox to get NXT up onto FS1 to compete against AEW. And one of the things that Paul Heyman apparently is very keen on in regards of his creative direction for Raw is to make wins and losses mean something because that's what AEW are doing and that's what people are kind of into at the moment.
It's like because AEW doing it, not because it's worthwhile. Like not because that's what people care about and people are watching it going like, I'm suspending my disbelief that they're having a fight in the first place. So I kind of want it to mean something.
Such a great line in the report that essentially just says that one of Heyman's big plan is for storylines to just not be dropped randomly. It's like, whoa! Mind blowing.
Well, he's one of the greatest thinkers of his time, Paul Heyman.
But as you say, really, this was kind of all a bit of a setup because as Riddle was celebrating, a masked man jumped into the ring and started killing poor Matt Riddle. And he takes off the mask to reveal himself as Killian Dain, who we've seen been doing promos for the last few weeks and stuff, talking about how he's going to be coming back and how he's not forgotten the troubles of his past. And he's going to take them out on people in NXT. And
without you.
He... Sunday, bloody Sunday. And he just starts laying waste to Matt Riddle. Absolutely laying waste to him.
Just dropped so many sentons.
Oh, yeah, he was dropping sentons like CM Punk drop pipe bombs. He was just dropping them left, right, and center, throwing them from pillar to post, and then he sets them up onto the stage, and he sentons him through the stage.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was bonkers, but I thought it was rad.
Yeah, what a way to reintroduce Killian Dain as well. It's like, I think someone he was always the enforcer for Sanity, kind of fit that role, but never really was a character while in Sanity, if you know what I mean.
He was just a big dude.
He was a presence.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see him come back and like make an impact as a single star because he had a very short singles run in WWE when he first came over.
Yeah, it was very short.
Before they replaced... Who was in Sanity first? There was someone else.
Sawyer Fulton.
Yeah, and then they replaced.
He's now in Impact as Madman Fulton. So like, I mean, and Killian Dain was wearing a Tool t-shirt, so instantly he's my new favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
That's the way to get over in my
it.
books, is to wear t-shirts of bands that I like.
So Luke really wants a faction with Eric Rowan and Killian Dain. That's it.
Listening to cool music.
Yeah.
That's what they're called.
Wicked
Cool music boys.
Wicked sweet car journeys, man.
But I thought this was a great way to re-debut Killian Dain to the NXT audience. It's great to have him back in NXT because here he will get a good run. He'll be taken very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And I think throwing him straight into a feud with Matt Riddle is like, that's a big time push. It's a big time deal.
Setting out your stall very early, isn't it? It's
It
going,
really
no,
is.
we have huge aspirations for this guy. This isn't just this is a roadblock to Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
Which is interesting as well to think that might, because it always seemed like Matt Riddle was on the fast track to the title. So maybe this is we're going to put that off for a bit longer.
I wonder whether once the Ciampa Gargano story kind of had to get nixed right at the last hurdle as well. So disappointingly, like right at the last hurdle. And they changed to Gargano Cole. That kind of threw out the rest of the plans because that match was then so good that they effectively they were like, well, let's just do that again twice over. I almost imagine that because that was so good and it got such a good reaction, they were like, well, let's change plans even further and we'll extend out this Gargano Cole feud into the summer.
Yeah.
Because the reports were, the plan originally was it was going to be Matt Riddle in the main events of TakeOver Toronto.
Yeah.
But this Cole Gargano thing has just caught so much fire that it makes sense to go with that and go with the momentum.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just Riddle will get his shot eventually, but we don't need to do it now. We can do it when we get to Survivor Series weekend or even Mania weekend next year.
Well, you absolutely want to have those. If you are NXT, you want to have those stories that where the matches are the sort of repetitive matches where you can go like, but what about those 3 matches they had? What about those 3 matches they had? Because that makes you feel more like almost just like Raw, like the general main roster stuff. Because people will talk about Cena Rock and stuff like that.
Or Corbin Rollins. And,
the infinite Corbin Rollins feud. But I think that's kind of, that is the signifier of a good feud, is that you have these 3 or however many huge blow-off matches.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the opposite ends of the spectrum, really, isn't it? It's like Cole Gargano is a match that people want to see more of. So doing 3 pay-per-view main events with that match isn't a problem.
No.
But no one wanted to see another Baron Corbin Rollins match.
Yeah.
So doing that 3 times in a row becomes like bloody hell, lads.
Well, that was a death of ideas, and this was we had so many ideas that we didn't even consider this as a thing.
We could
but
do
we
more
might as well
ideas.
we should probably do more of this. I don't know,
So back to Killian Dain, I thought this was a terrific re-debut of him,
Yes.
and I think that these 2 will have a great match at TakeOver because it's such a clash of styles. Like Riddle is this, the submission-based guy, he's the MMA fighter, whereas Dain is all about power and body hair.
Yeah.
Like he's going to absolutely kill this.
Well, just think about the pure absorption powers of his chest hair.
Oh, yeah.
Like Riddle's going to be laying in kicks. He's going to be like, and what?
And what?
Just folding into a cushion.
Randy Andy Datson, who is pulling a disgusted face.
I don't like feet and back hair are 2 of my kryptonites, so I just
Well, there you go. If you want to attack Randy Andy Datson,
get your feet and back hair out.
Have feet.
Yeah. Walk down the street, mate. I've got feet. Oh, no. Whatever you like.
It's great to have an anti-foot fetish.
well, what are people saying in the super chats?
They are saying some things, so I shall read them out to you.
Please do.
Tim Arndt says nothing, but he does later, but I will get to that when he writes the message. Jobber JJ says, Dain re-debut came out of nowhere and was great.
It was great. Loved it. Yeah.
Did you know it was, at what point did you only know it was him when he pulled his mask off?
Well,
or
I
did you
figured
have
it was going to
suspicion?
be a debut of sorts, otherwise they wouldn't have put him in a mask. It's either him or Cedric, and I kind of quickly figured it wasn't him because he was winning.
Yeah.
And then
If he'd just pulled the mask off and gone,
pull the face. Hey guys, well no, if it was Cedric, he'd have come in and got beaten up by Matt Riddle,
Yeah.
and then I must go like, guys, I got him.
while on the floor, crying, bleeding.
I think I got him. Once I saw a big dude in the ring, and because we've had like the teasers of a re-debut, I kind of figured it was Killian Dain.
Yeah. Japanese name says it's been reported that NXT isn't profitable with live show attendance, no TV, and high salaries. With no main roster continuity, is NXT a waste?
No, absolutely not, because you're building, like NXT is the best product that they put out. It's the only reason that a lot of people subscribe to the network. So it's not a waste. It's not profitable. You're absolutely right. It makes $0.
But that's possibly why they're doing more of the loaning out people to smaller shows, right? Like there's much more of the Street Profits going to Evolve and being the champions, putting on the Evolve show and sending a load of guys over there. They're now more involved in sending people like Kyle O'Reilly to Progress shows, but they're going to get fees from those places for the appearance. So
you're
kind of now, I guess they're now monetizing the rental of superstars to some degree.
I think there's also this idea that WWE is a business, and they don't want these wrestlers appearing for other. They don't want them signing for other companies. They don't want them going to New Japan or Ring of Honor or now AEW. So they just hoovered up all of the talent. It was like, well, we'll just put them here. Because now they can't go anywhere.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter. Like we can put them on the main roster eventually, but the key to it is they're now not with another company.
Yeah.
So thumbs up for us. And
it's WWE's vault, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it?
And there was a really interesting in that report about NXT possibly going to FS1. The report is it's fascinating. It's almost brilliantly WWE, and actually, it's almost brilliantly business-wise. It's that it doesn't matter if it doesn't beat AEW in the ratings. What it matters is that it chips away their audience. Because if even if they get 10% of the audience that might have watched AEW, then it's a win. Because they're not going to make. They might make a bit of money off it now because they'll get some TV rights. But also key to it, they're taking away people who might watch the new product and get sucked into that and become a move away from being a fan of WWE into watching AEW instead. It's kind of a brilliant. It's kind of a brilliant business move.
It's just. Yeah, I think NXT is just in a weird place now. It's not that I don't think that it was ever a waste because its entire point was to turn the school of WWE into a TV show.
Yeah,
and the TV show is mostly so that people can practice being on a WWE-like product.
Yeah.
And it just happens that it got really good.
And then
the takeovers were fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
They must make money.
But the thing is, like, as an annual thing, it is not a profitable company.
But it's not a loss because it's part of a much wider business. Like,
yeah, but it's just like, WWE Studios.
I'm sure their mobile games make crazy money for no reason. Mate, you know what I mean? It's like, when you've got that happening, this is fine.
I was going to say, when you hear those reports that, like, Electronic Arts make tens of millions of dollars per month on Simpsons Tapped Out, you're like, there's probably a reason why they're not making just like a proper Simpsons game with no loot boxes and monetization and stuff like that. So but like, WWE Studios is a division of WWE that makes no money, but they keep it because it's like a prestige thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Tim Arndt says, I heard from Dave Meltzer that Fox wants NXT to move on to TV on Wednesday nights to compete with AW in October, as you mentioned. Sam Honey says, I know the Riddle push was shelved, but do you think with the changes to Raw and SmackDown, Riddle will lose to Dain at TakeOver to go up to the main roster?
He's a Paul Heyman guy, right? Like, Paul Heyman would love to have him on Raw. But then again, it's whether Vince can get on board, I guess.
Yeah, I think it depends on, like, really the planning as well, because you've got to think you can't just keep taking guys with no plan for them. Like, there's either going to have to be a swap see and swap back kind of thing now, or you can't just go, we'll have Riddle as well, and then because there's too many people to do stories with. Yeah, they're going to suffer from the exact same problem that NXT has currently, where you've got Keith Lee going, I've been here for ages,
I've been here for a year and I've done nothing. I will have a couple more, please.
Yeah, we'll do 3 more and then we can do the rest later. Japanese name says, out of these 4, who had the best NXT career? Sami Callihan, CJ Parker, TM61, or James Storm?
It's tough because none of them did anything. But I guess I'm going to go with CJ Parker because he did get on TV, on takeovers rather. He had that takeover match with Kevin Owens. I don't know if Callahan got a takeover match. He might have done.
I'm going to say TM61.
Actually, they got far in the.
They had a lot of time.
They got far in the Dusty Classic.
Year,
they got to the finals of the Dusty Classic against AOP. So I guess them.
Caleb Maldonado, who sent us those, didn't he?
Yeah, the Young Bucks.
He did, yes. Says, saw a tweet that asked which 5 wrestlers you would like to storm Area 51 with. Who would you guys pick and why?
I've not really been keeping up on what this is.
No, it's something on the internet where people. I think it was a Facebook event where people were going to storm Area 51 to see all the aliens that the government are hiding, and hundreds of thousands of people joined it, and then it just became a thing, and now it's meme after meme after meme after meme.
So it's the Flat Earth Society.
It's a genius
It
idea.
was a joke that turned into a real thing.
It's a wonderful, genius idea to storm a military facility that may or may not be hiding advanced alien weaponry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
It's like they've got ways to keep you out of there that you don't even understand.
It's natural selection, because if everyone does it and they get blasted, if you're stupid enough to do it, then...
Well, in which case, to answer the question, I'm taking 5 of the biggest lads I can, and I'm going to do Operation Human Shield.
Operation Human Shield. That's a really good idea. I'm going to do... I'm going to take Taker. Just the Undertaker, because he can teleport. So I'm just going to teleport us in there.
I'm taking the Spirit Squad. Stephen McAllister says, "Hey guys, it would be awesome to get a shout out for my birthday today. I've joined the 30 Club. Keep up the great work."
Oh, man.
Yeah, well, we could do, but he said it would be nice, but... No, I'm joking.
Happy birthday.
Happy bloody birthday to you. Welcome to the 30 Club as well.
It's all downhill from here.
But it's also lovely. We meet up on Thursdays to play Dungeons & Dragons. Right, well, thank you very much for those super chats, Randy. Let's crack on with the rest of the show. After we had the Killian Dain re-debut in the Matt Riddle match, we've got a promo for NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff and the Raw reunion. And then the Street Profits did one of their little promo segments backstage where they were talking about how the Undisputed Era think that they're a joke. And the Undisputed Era are running the place. But he just says, "Nah, fam, you think we ain't serious? How come you couldn't beat us then?" Pointing at the belts, pointing out that they won the ladder match.
Win the ladder match,
yeah, exactly. And Dawkins says that they'll still be the champs, and that is undisputed. And Montez Ford, the big gifable face that he has got, just going.
And they just hold it for ages.
Yeah,
I
much
really
longer
enjoyed
than
that.
was probably needed, but that made it better.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty weak promo before that. Actually, I think they did. Well, obviously they did the opposite of what they normally do, which is they let Angelo Dawkins do most of the talking.
Montez Ford.
Yeah, so they should have let Ford do the majority of it. But I don't know. I just prefer it when it's a bit more like they've definitely made it more official now, all the Street Profit stuff, and I preferred it when it was actually like a bit more. Felt like they're just messing around
on the Instagrams, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird that it's still got the Snapchat presentation.
Oh, is it
but
a Snapchat one? Is it?
Well, that's the logo, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like the ghost thing.
It's the ghost one.
But it's the ghost one. But yeah, it's that. It now always feels like proper cameras, all a bit too set up.
I get that.
It's like before it just felt very organic.
But I will say, because the last 2 Street Profits promos we've had, which were on Raw and Extreme Rules, I didn't like, and I found them a bit annoying. So at least here, I didn't find them annoying.
Well, at least
and
they were the Street Profits. Yeah.
Exactly, and I don't want to be that guy that doesn't like the Street Profits because they're my boys. And I don't want to have them on TV and then review it and be like, I didn't like the promo. I want to try and be positive about them. So I think you need to keep.
Yeah, I think you just need to keep it like if that's what we're going for. Just stick with that. Like, stick with what works with them.
Yeah.
And, like, have it feel like it's still them. They're still, like, the point should be they're still real. They've won the titles, but they've not changed at all.
Yeah.
They've just legitimized the fact that they were always real, and they continue to do their promos in the way they did before. Because now it feels like they're becoming different people.
It's an excellent point. Last Saturday, we got footage from last Saturday at a live event where Mia Yim, like a dick, just attacked Marina Shafir for no reason whatsoever.
She's a mother!
She just beat her, exactly. She just beat her up for no reason. It was a fan.
I love it when he said a fan recorded this on his phone. It's like, oh, well, thank God the fan had the phone in landscape. Which nobody ever does.
And was just filming a building from the outside and then panned across perfectly to capture this.
Just film where I am. Oh, this weird thing's happening. I won't help.
No. But I will make sure I capture all of the action in perfect frame.
Yeah,
Their center of frame at all times.
Say anything.
Perfect HD as well.
Like, normally people will be like, holy yes, she's beating her up.
Yeah.
Call the police. Do something.
Because, really, if you're a fan and you're at the show, you've just seen a woman attack another woman, seemingly for no reason. I don't know. Mia Yim slammed a car door and everything. I was like, all right,
she
mate.
lock-stocked her.
Yeah, I was going to say, calm down. Fucking hell, she hasn't done anything. Next up, we got more of the breakout star. What's it called again? again?
The breakout tournament.
Breakout tournament, thank you. Between Bronson Reid and Dexter Lumis, who looks like a baddie from an Arnie movie.
He does, doesn't he?
He looks like Bennett. He looks like Bennett from Commando. And he just walks out. And he's just like this big stocky dude. He's got these gloves on. He's got a wicked tash. He's got some cool hair. And he's got these like really intense eyes. Basically like Dan Severn from like back in the day. And he just sort of walks the ring. And he's got this very, very slow, ominous music. The commentators don't say anything. And then at the end go like, I'm afraid of this man.
Yeah. He's got serial killer vibes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what they're going for with the naming.
Totally. Oh, yeah,
Dexter,
completely.
and then Lumis is...
It was the guy who was after Michael Myers. It was Michael Myers'
but it's also
psychiatric.
It's also the guy who's having the affair in Psycho.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Which
absolutely.
is the
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Which is what
yeah.
the guy in.
Which is
Halloween
what it was.
named
What?
after.
Yeah, it was named after. Absolutely. Yeah, good shout. So I thought it was a really cool presentation for him. They even said we were meant to have an interview that was meant to play on screen, but the production guys were so scared that they forgot to play it.
I really liked it.
I loved that.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a cool little touch. And Reid did get his inset promo where he said that people are often talking about Japanese strong style and British strong style, but I'm here to show Australian strong style, mate. And they did do some strong style power stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was as good.
Yeah, it's not the best match of the tournament so far, but it
No,
was...
for me that's still going to. Well, I mean, I didn't see the first round, but I loved Grimes versus. What's your man? What did they change his name to? Stoke Catholic. What did they change his name to?
Oh,
bugger. Anyway, him. We had him as a thumbnail a couple of weeks ago.
yeah, I can't remember.
But that lad.
Oh,
As I Swerve Scott, that's the one.
that's it. Strickland's old.
That's it, Strickland.
Strickland's
That
new
was
name.
it. Yeah. Whatever.
No, I like the first match.
Oh, yeah. That's the one I haven't seen.
Yeah, Garza's. It was really good.
Yeah,
Versus
but
TJZ.
this match was. It was okay. It was some big power moves. There was some neck cranks in there. And then, they did their big spots and some suplexes, and then Reid won with the big splash from the top.
Yeah, I was really expecting a bit more lobbing stuff about than there was. And
Yeah.
maybe it just didn't meet my expectations. That's why I wasn't so into it. But it just all felt a bit like Bronson Reid was sort of doing the shtick of I'm a really big guy, but he was just doing that to another big guy, and it lacks the impact of he's got cool moves.
Yeah.
So there's a bit where Lumis is leaning over the ropes. And Reid runs into the ropes to ping him off. And then on the way back, as he meets him in the middle of the ring after they've both bounced off, he just clatters into him.
Yeah.
That would look amazing that's going to look incredible against ACH. Say.
Yeah, totally.
Or someone a bit smaller in stature who's just going to go flying. But it just, everything lacked a bit of impact. And even though they sold that big back suplex that Lumis did, and they were saying that's crazy, and it's I don't know, he just looked like he could lift him.
Yeah,
it's just something about the sizing of the two guys. I just looked at it and I was like, it doesn't seem impressive to me.
It's also one of those really weird things as well, and you kind of have to have this because it's a tournament and people have to win and people have to lose. But when you debut a guy who is the production team are so scared to play this guy's promo because he's so intense and he's so scary, and then he just loses.
Yeah.
And it's he's less scary now, I guess, because he's just been beaten.
And I think, but also to do that and then have him with Bronson Reid, who comes out and isn't scared.
Yeah.
So it would have. I think you could have done a better first round match with one of the smaller guys in the tournament.
Yeah.
And had them.
If you done it with Miles.
Yeah, exactly, and had him be scared.
Yeah. Which would have been less Miles.
Yeah. Fear for Miles. But you could have then had him start to overcome, and then at the end you have Smiley Jordan Miles, and then
Smiley Jordan
Miles, and it all makes sense. But yeah, it's just a bit of a weird presentation to go. He's so scary, and then Bronson Reid's just hey man,
power slam.
Yeah.
I win. And Reid is going to face Cameron Grimes in the next round, which I think will be a lot of fun because Trevor Lee's so good, and he'll have such a cocky arrogance about him, and then come up against this big ginormous dude.
Yeah, I think they'll probably match better.
Yeah.
I just think in terms of the kind of heel that Grimes is, I think Lumis's heel persona doesn't really gel unless the other person is a very specific type of face.
And actually, on that, the next segment we got was Tyler Breeze having a photo shoot, and Kathy Kelly walks up and he's like, "Let's chat and walk," and he talks about how I've just noticed everyone here's got friends, they've got groups, so I either need to adapt and then the Forgotten Sons walk in. And they say that Breeze is a blast from the past. This is a new NXT where actual men are. And And Bree's like, no, I'm a man. I've got a beard now.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then asked if Cutler was Buddy Murphy, which I thought was a really good line.
Yeah, that was really funny.
But the key to this, and the reason why I kind of like connect the two together, is Riker then steps up. Like, just steps right up to his face and just like, you're treating this like a joke. And this is no joke. Mm-hmm. And I just think that he is so scary.
Yeah.
Because they've protected him so well. Mm-hmm. Like, you remember during the ladder match stuff, and like, they had to like keep beating him down with a ladder to like just make him stay.
6 guys.
Yeah, 6 guys. Like, and on the TV beforehand, where all the Undisputed Era had to like proper beat him up and lock him under a ladder in order for like to they can actually do their pose.
And he still crawled out.
And he still, like, so I think they've really, really protected Riker. Mm-hmm. In looking like a scary dude.
Yeah. I feel like they'll probably do the same thing with Lumis post this, like after this match, they'll take him away for a bit and then bring him back with a big, like, heel push that involves being terrifying and just mauling people. But
and we need another one of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is that we really don't need another one. But.
Exactly. Bree says that he's seen everything and he walks off. It's kind of teasing there's more to be done with Breeze and the Forgotten Sons down the line, which I think I'm really up for. I think it'd be really cool. Particularly if it's like Breeze brings back more Forgotten NXT call-ups and that's like his little crew of like the old school NXT guys. Bring a Chad Gable back or something. We've got a recap of...
I know what it is.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
Okay, well... Tease. We've got a recap of Io Shirai from last week and her awesome sort of non-promo. She just looks so cool. Mm-hmm. Dark-sided Io Shirai. And they announced that she's going to be facing Casey Catamaran next week, which I'm sure will be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.
Casey Catanzaro, who's still yet to have a proper debut as a singles competitor.
Yeah.
She's only been deployed to get the pop for her entrance. And then an angle happens.
And I can't see her picking up a win over Io Shirai.
I think an angle might happen.
Quite possibly. We then got what was easily the best match of the whole evening.
Oh, it was so good.
It was Kushida versus a returning to NXT Apollo Crews. Now, you'd seen this before I had, and you said to me this morning, it's the best that Crews has looked in on Raw, SmackDown, and even his original NXT run.
It's really fantastic match.
And I love the fact that the crowd clearly didn't know it was coming, because he got a enormous pop.
Yeah.
Like, when his music hits, the crowd exploded for Apollo Crews of all people. But like they always react to the main roster guys. It's like, oh my god, it's a big return. And it was this was just brilliant. This was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I just thought it was so much fun. Yeah. And they played it really perfectly of like just playing off both the athleticism of both guys. And the finish, I think, is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Yeah,
there was some really good like Fast and Furious action early on, and I like the spot where you had Kushida sort of like he ran to the outside and sort of goaded Crews to follow him, and then he ran back in the ring, and as Crews got on the apron, he was already doing like a handspring kick to knock him back down.
He did that a couple of times in this match.
He's
really
just
cool.
So quick. Kushida is crazy quick.
I love the idea that they kept putting over the idea that like Kushida's very quick, but Apollo, while a heavyweight comparative to Kushida, who would be a junior heavyweight, is like he is still rapid.
So quick.
And it was only the fact that, Kushida started working on the arm mid-match.
That's it, yeah.
During what was, quite a lucky escape really for Kushida, because Apollo goes to do a sort of float over in the corner. Kushida steps back and then just kicks him in the arm as he's coming back down, which is a brutal-looking little spot.
And Nigel was putting it over so strong. It's like, that's so he can set up the hoverboard lock later. Like, he's now going to start targeting that arm. And he didn't. He started working over the arm. Every chance he got, he could target that arm. And that then slowed Crews down because he was trying to like do some moves, and his left arm would start to hurt.
Well, the big turn in the match was Crews goes for the gorilla press.
Yeah.
And as he lifts him, he just drops him.
Yeah. Oh, it was so clever. And yeah, the finish, holy heckers, they're up on the top rope and they just fly into the air and land down with Kushida got him with an armbar.
It's like a Spanish fly armbar, isn't it? It was. I was looking at it because I watched the replay a few times and I was just like, this is so dangerous. Like, because there's a point at which, like in the replay, you see Kushida's leg is underneath Apollo. And like, if he doesn't bring it out a tiny bit before the end of it, Apollo's going to crush his leg. So Apollo's going to probably break his back and crush Kushida's leg at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just this perfectly done move where he lands completely split open. in the perfect spot to then just bring that leg back in and lock in an armbar.
Yeah.
It's an amazing bit of athleticism.
Absolutely. Oh, it was so cool. And then Kushida rolled through that into the hoverboard lock for the win.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a wicked match. It was Ace, Cruiser Kushida hug at the end. It's the best that Cruiser's looked in a long time.
And it's easy. I think it is the best, like they said in the commentary, like, you know, Gulak was great. Cassius Ohno was the good debut. But this was the match. Like this does feel like an escalation, and that's exactly what this storyline should be. This should be, if you're telling it by the tail of the company, which is that, you know, SmackDown's higher than NXT, Raw's higher than SmackDown. So we do Cassius Ohno when he turns up, Drew Gulak from 205, then we do a SmackDown guy, and then we're going to get a Raw guy, hopefully.
Lesnar.
Yeah, oh my God, I hope it's Lesnar. I hope he loses.
Can you imagine?
I hope he loses the Universal title to Kushida.
Can you imagine
on an NXT taping?
the pop that Lesnar would get? Like if his music was played in the NXT in Full Sail, like the crowd would go ballistic.
Well, look at what people did for Apollo Crews.
I know.
People would. I think people would explode. It'd be like the end of Kingsman.
I thought it was so cool. And for my money, I thought Cruz looked so much better coming out of this match with a loss than he did getting that roll up on Andrade on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like this did so much more for him in my eyes than getting a win over Andrade.
Well, because it was cheap.
a fluke.
It's cheap and a fluke on SmackDown. It's a roll up is surviving the match, I think. Like, I know WWE keeps presenting it as like, you got the best of me. I don't think it is. I think it feels like it always feels like survival.
Yeah, I completely agree. Speaking of survival, Keith Lee's a bit despondent at the moment. It feels like he's just surviving in NXT, the poor lad. And he's just cutting this promo backstage where like they're asking about his tenure, and he's like, "Yeah, you know, I've had some stops and starts, you know, in the year that I've been here, and I mean, all I heard about when I joined was these opportunities that would be at my feet, but I feel like I've been overlooked and passed on by. There's 8 guys in this tournament for a title shot, and I didn't see that when I came in." And then he starts talking about Damian Priest, and he's like, he's a big guy that's just come in, and maybe I need to be the one to change the narrative. That's a good idea. Thanks, Kathy. And he walks away. Love Keith Lee.
I really love Keith Lee.
He needs more to do in NXT.
I hope they're not just going to have him lose Damian Priest.
Oh, mate. Yeah, tell me about it. And then,
because Damian Priest has had nothing but squash matches as well since he turned up. So, like, it would be weird for him to lose.
I wonder if they're going to do the Dijak story again. But just instead of Dijak, it's with Lee this time, which they didn't get to finish because Dijak went out with the injury.
Yeah.
So you do like the double count out finish, and then you build to a takeover match, or you know, on Takeover TV, the week after Takeover.
Yeah, I just don't think people are that into the Damian Priest character.
Not yet.
Really.
No, it's because it makes no bloody sense.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense. It's not as cool as Punishment Martinez. Like, we could just have him lose here, and bring him back later, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
But Keith Lee's had the promo. Was it last week?
Last week, yeah.
Which was so good and like makes so much sense. Like, and if you're gonna play off the fact that his character, like his thing is like, I've not really done anything since I've been in NXT because I've been given no opportunities. You have to pay off that by doing the opportunities. You can't do what the main roster does, which is go, everyone's really annoyed that Shane's here all the time. More Shane.
Yeah. My worry is that Priest is going to win next week. Keith's going to take some time off to reflect, and he'll go to NXT UK.
Oh, no.
That's my worry.
I'll start watching NXT UK.
And in the main event, Adam Cole was set to defend his NXT championship, and they never announced who it was going to be against. And there's a reason for that. He came out to cut a promo before the match, and he said that he's been all over the country on his Bay tour. He's a true champion, and he says there's been an undisputed power switch in NXT. And he announces the person that he's going to face against, which was Twan Tucker, who was the lad that Gargano let hold the title when he was there at the training school in Cleveland. And then Cole went there to sort of like mock people. That was not last week, it was the week before.
He just said, give up.
Yeah, give up.
I've bought you some pizzas, go home and eat them.
Exactly, yeah, move out this area because it's rubbish and you're all big smells. And so Twan comes out. And Cole says, he goes like, look, I'm out on my own. There's no undisputed era here. You and I are just going to have a fair match. And Twan says, well, that's a shame because I didn't come alone. And Gargano's music hits the first time that we've seen him in a while. Place goes nuts. And I'm actually kind of gutted we didn't get the Cole-Twan match because I think you could have had some fun of like Cole being really cocky and him getting some good like near falls on him.
Yeah, I felt like this was. I almost feel like the re-debut of Johnny here was done wrong. It would have been cooler, I think. You wouldn't have got the bigger pop of playing Johnny's music, but I think it would have been cooler if Twan said, "I didn't come alone," and Johnny is already sliding into the ring.
Yeah,
and then you can just do that camera angle of Cole stopping for a second.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Johnny's behind him.
Yeah,
that would have been so much better for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. I did think it was cool, though. I did really like this. And he came out and he was just pissed off. And he just came out and he just started battering this dude.
Because you could have also done, Twan says, "I didn't come alone." And the whole school surrounds the ring. Like, there's a lot you could have done with this, like more than just...
Papa Gargano.
Yeah, and Papa Gargano's there. Everyone's holding a pizza. It would have been great.
We'll start throwing pizzas at him. Gargano just started beating down Cole all throughout the arena. Mara and Alice said Johnny wrestling is Johnny pissed off. And Nigel just goes, it's more like Johnny bitter. So that was awesome. And the referees come down, they pull Gargano off, and Adam Cole stands there and he holds his title up. And Gargano just does this huge dive off the stage onto Cole and wipes him out again. They get back into the ring. Cole tries the last shot, but Gargano super kicks him, does the DIY kick, and locks in the Gargano escape. Cole's tapping out furiously, and Gargano won't let go. You got Nigel screaming, "He's like, this is an outrage. This is preposterous. Let him go." And I thought it was a really, really cool presentation of Gargano. He looked fired up and pissed off.
I think it was good presentation from both of them. I think they both, for the whole thing, just did their characters brilliantly.
Totally.
Because there was the point where Cole turns it around when they're in the stands and he rails Johnny against the barricade.
Yeah.
And rather than capitalize, he just tries to leave, and he's just trying to get to the back as quickly as possible. And Johnny chases him down, and that allows Johnny to keep the fire going. And even when all the referees drag Johnny away, Cole gets up and still just holds the title up.
I'm still the champion, mate.
I'm still the champion, dude. And that's when Johnny comes back. I just think it's really clever.
And it wasn't announced on the show, but WWE have announced that Cole will defend the NXT Championship against Gargano at the TakeOver event over SummerSlam weekend. TakeOver Toronto.
Leaving and holding up the 3 as well, isn't
it? Yeah, Gargano said, I want the rubber match. And so, they've made it official. And it's again a 2 out of 3 falls match. With the stipulation that Gargano will pick stipulation for one of the falls. Cole will get to pick the stipulation for another. And if it goes to a third fall... William Regal will pick the last stipulation, which means it will be a brass knuckle on a pole match.
Yeah,
it's 3 stages of hell, though, isn't it?
Exactly, yes, 3 stages of hell match.
It's going to be a Boston Tea Party.
The stipulations have yet to be revealed. But I thought, overall, cool episode of NXT, bro.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It was
really, really fun. The only thing, I wasn't so keen on the breakout match.
Nope.
But it still did enough. For me, I'm excited to still see the tournament continuing. I just think they've had a sort of diminishing return since those first couple of matches.
Yeah, totally.
But the second round of it looks amazing.
Oh, mate, I really, really enjoyed this episode. Like you, I thought the breakout match was the low point of it, but I like the fact that we've got a wrestler that looks like Bennett from Commando, so that gets a thumbs up from me.
He looks like a Chip from Small Soldiers. This is what he looks like.
And we got Killian Dain's big old return, Big Damo's big return, big fan mate. Randy Adidatson, what are people saying up in them chats?
They are saying many things, but most of all, there's some gatekeeping going on, because I said it's hot, and then all the Aussies are jumping in and going, it's not that hot, it can't be that hot. I'm like, no, it's quite hot in here. But they're all saying, oh, only once you've worked in 50-degree heat can you actually say it's hot. Come on, man.
Cool chat,
it's
Dadson.
Hot in here. Mr. Doback says, WrestleTwats.
Thanks.
But then he said, not me. So Ed Fries says, nothing, but thank you for your donation. Donovan Garcia says, you now have control of the E. Who's your top guy on each brand? By the way, just became a $25 backer, but have been watching for years. How can I get a name for shout-outs?
Well, either you can tell me in the community tab what you'd like the name to be, or you'll just get assigned one by me.
Which will be a Simpsons or Ghostbusters reference.
If anything to go by, previous ones to go by.
Or a vague song that Luke knows.
And I will then enjoy singing.
Yeah.
So it's up to you, to be honest with you. To answer your question, who would be top guys? They've got too much talent in WWE to just sit there and pick a name out at random. Because I'd probably say, I don't know, Riddle on one. I don't know, Honestly, I don't know.
I would have Joe, definitely.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe's been hard done to, and he would be an amazing top guy on SmackDown, probably.
Yeah.
I just think he's just got it all. And I think, if you want someone to chase a heel champion, Joe is the best heel champion because he's so good at talking.
Yeah.
And he's so but he feels like an actual genuine threatening presence as well.
And really, if I'm thinking about this from a business aspect, Roman's got to be one of your top guys. He's their biggest draw.
Yeah.
And I'd say Lesnar's another one because he's a big draw. Just get him to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FT Manny, thank you for your donation. Zachary Marsh says, who do you want in the next Mae Young Classic, if there's going to be one?
I don't know because that's a really tough question because WWE hoovered up pretty much all of the women that were there last year, including the ones that no one wanted. AEW are hoovering up a lot of talent as well.
Yeah.
So it's actually really difficult to pick now. I guess I can't even think.
WWE just kind of has a load of people. I think NXT UK has such a huge female roster, so you could use loads of people from there, like Millie McKenzie. I'd like.
Yeah, Millie McKenzie's a good shout. There was that at Frontline. There was because I wasn't there, but I believe there was a ladies' match there that was absolutely amazing. Because what Pete was telling us.
Yeah, what was her name? Began with V, did it?
Oh, no, I can't remember.
I can't remember.
the names.
Anyway, she was.
It was. Oh, what is her name?
I wasn't there.
Not Charlie Evans.
The quintessential diva or something like that. Or?
She was the Ace of Eve. Is her name? And then
Actually, there's a boatload of talent you could get from Eve.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a great match. So yeah, either of those two.
Oh no, Giselle Shaw.
Giselle Shaw, that was the one. Yeah, she was wonderful. So yeah,
She actually had a NXT UK tryout recently.
Oh,
yeah, she was part of that with Session Moth. Session Moth would be a great shout in there.
She was very good. Ben, Bad Predictor, Greenwood says, really enjoyed the MMA style match Riddle had too.
Yeah, it was great. Really enjoyed it.
It was really fun.
Mr. Fretz says, thanks lads, you make my night shifts enjoyable.
You're very, very welcome. Thumbs up.
Spikebite Gaming says, I just think Heyman led Raw with Cole and Riddle.
Yeah, I mean Adam Cole's he's a top guy anywhere. I think he should be a top guy on the main roster, particularly if he's got the era with him.
Especially now they've been on Twitter having a bit of back and forth about...
Yeah, with the club.
With the club.
I've seen a lot of people get
Don't ever tease
Well, that's the thing. It's one of those things that people are teasing. You're like, it's probably not likely going to happen, though, is it?
Don't be mean. Like, if you know it's not happening, don't be mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Anthony James says, if NXT goes to Fox Sports 1 to challenge AEW, could you see NXT blossoming into more of a top brand and actually challenge Raw and SmackDown instead of it just being a launch pad? Also, El Fakador for Prime Minister. Legend.
I mean, I'd much rather you, to be honest.
I don't want it. It is a cursed chalice.
Oh, absolutely.
A lovely poisoned chalice there.
Delightful.
But it's the people
I'll
who
lead us through a Brexit. Why not?
the people who
Sure
don't
thing. I know what I'm doing.
It's always the people who don't want it that thrive best, though.
Yeah, but also...
I don't know, Theresa May didn't want it.
Yeah.
And look how all that turned out
That's
for
true.
her. Anyway, back to the question.
Yeah.
Which was again? What was
Could
the
NXT, if it's going to be on TV,
could it
become a brand?
I doubt it. I don't think so.
I don't think
they wouldn't let
it
it because they would just keep taking the fans out.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah. What was that?
That was me saying I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
You've never seen that before?
No.
No.
It must be a
Child.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh, now I get what you mean. The Red Smith says Chad Gable versus Jack Gallagher was fantastic on 205 Live. It was.
I've heard people read. You said it was good.
It was good. It wasn't like I was expecting an amazing match, and it was good.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've literally.
Maybe I've just got a really high standard.
I just finished watching Kenta versus Tanahashi from the G1. So, if it's not that, then I think people are very much pushing this match into something that it probably isn't. But actually, I would also say because I'm finally catching up on the G1 stuff that I've been missing out on. So I watched Kenta Tanahashi, which was absolutely brilliant. It was such a good match. Jeff Cobb versus Tomohiro Ishii. Holy heck, that's a beefy match, but it was awesome. And I'm not one to say this usually, but F Dave Meltzer for not liking Naito versus Toriano because that match was awesome. I loved it. I laughed from start to end. It was so much fun. It was great.
R.A., thank you for your donation. Colton Daly says, is The Undertaker ruining his legacy by continuing to wrestle?
No, I think people are going to give him the legacy regardless.
He's earned the legacy. I think it's It's just a bit sad.
It is, yeah.
I think that's the issue, and it's also just because it's cynically motivated.
It is completely cynically motivated. So I think he'll always have the legacy. So I don't think it's going to ever be like tarnished or ruined. But
It depends on how far you go. I think it depends. Like if they carry on for another year with it, then maybe
Saying that, but
there's only so much bandwidth I think people have for watching car crashes in motion.
If it had ended at Saudi Showdown, then you'd be like, oh god, that's a glib way to end off. Like Michael's ending off his career with that match. Like that's a glib way to end.
Yeah, you've got to get back.
But then you have like the Extreme Rules match that he had with Roman, Shane, and Drew was awesome. It was like one of the best matches of the night.
Yeah, if he can get a good SummerSlam match under his belt and then retire, that would be the perfect end.
Yeah.
That would not the perfect.
I was going to say the perfect end was WrestleMania when he got beat by Roman.
One where he put all the stuff in the ring. Yeah. But if he could this time leave his trousers and
and everything else.
Yeah, and everything else, and then that's it. Yeah.
Walking out with his dong hanging out.
It got a 4-star rating, that match.
It's because it was great. It was so much fun. I loved it.
Jobber JJ says, my recommended Formula 1 race this week is Germany 2000.
Christ on a bike.
This isn't my fault.
It is your fault. I'm
Why?
blaming you. I'm just blaming you for it, Randy.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, in that case, it's fine. Joey Spade says, Randy turned on his mic. That's good S-word, pal.
He didn't, I did.
Oh, that's
because
true.
Randy forgot to do it.
No. Not today. I didn't forget to do it. You had already done it before I turned up.
Forget.
Yeah. Tomo said, no, I was actually thinking about it quite. I was like, as soon as I go in there, I'm going to make sure. Tomo says, even though I watch these streams to chat with everyone, all I ever wanted was for everyone to just talk about me because 1, I'm greedy for attention, and 2, I'm Tomo for God's sake. Don't judge me.
You're actually today's bumper on WrestleTalk News. Ollie Davis's first news back in a while.
Well, there you go. And our final one for today is from Nick Corvello with a very generous donation. It says, hi, Luke and Laurie. A weird hypothetical I wanted to ask you guys. Here goes. If Disney ever bought WWE, how do you think WWE would change? Canonically, Sheamus and Beaker are cousins, so there's already a foot in the door.
Do you know what? I was listening to a podcast yesterday, in fact, that was talking about how when Disney bought Marvel and Lucasfilm, that everyone on the internet was like, oh, God, they're just going to kiddify Marvel and Star Wars. It's like, I mean, they're for kids anyway. I don't know what you like.
Yeah, well, I don't know what your problem is.
And then it was like, but then they were like, well, I don't know. Disney have got Touchstone. You know, they had Miramax. You know, they've done, you know, some more adult orientated stuff. And then I've been really sad to learn that they have just kiddified it. And I'm like, have they though? Did they kiddify the MCU? Infinity War didn't feel like a kids film.
Yeah, killed 50% of the population.
I don't think that Star Wars hardly feels kiddified. Did you see Return of the Jedi?
Star Wars always had a man dressed as a dog. For like the whole thing, there was a little bin running around.
So
a
I've never
man
really
painted gold
that.
and a dog dude, and that was for adults.
We've had one quick one in from Jobber JJ. Says,
but to answer the question of how it would change, I wouldn't, probably not at all. Apart from Beaker and Sheamus being cousins.
I think there would. I think story-wise nothing, but I think there would probably be a larger injection of famous talent,
and there'd be WWE World at Disney World.
Yeah, but I think they probably would do a lot more sort of bringing in random celebrities every week for things.
You definitely have a few shows from Disney, actual Disney.
Totally, yeah. Like from Epcot.
Themed matches.
And that big golf ball.
And the last one is from Jobber JJ. Says, what's wrong with Formula 1? It's good S-word.
Fine. I mean, that's it. You know what? Never... I don't know. Don't crap on other people's opinions.
Oh, and
it's just not for me, mate.
One more. Bucky, the Ace Ventura, says, which feud was the peak of NXT?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's hard because it's like I don't think it has peaked.
No, exactly,
but it's like there's been many amazing feuds. I don't think it's gone downhill ever. But
say NXT stops tomorrow. What was?
Yeah, like what?
If it stopped tomorrow and you had to go, what was the best feud? I have Ciampa Gargano as my favourite feud in NXT.
Yeah.
In all WWE at the moment. In the last 5 years of WWE, it's my favourite feud.
That Ciampa Gargano trilogy last year, that is among, if not the best stuff.
It's kind of almost better that it didn't finish properly.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it leaves the possibility open that it might come back.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the full wrap-up and have to be like, oh, what's the disappointing follow-up to this?
Yeah.
You know, you could bring Ciampa back now and have nothing to do with Gargano, and you could just be like, well, there's still the potential there that they might do something with it, and they don't have to have the weird sophomore effort.
Yeah. Well, that is all we've got time for on today's episode of the WrestleRamble. Thank you so much for watching. Head on over to WrestleTalk.BigCartel.com to get your copy of the WrestleTalk Almanac Volume 2. I've been Luke Owen. That was El Fakador Laurie Blake. That was Randy Andy Dadson. And that, we're rambling.